Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I'll review a chessable course, namely Lifetime Repertoires Sethuraman 1E4 Part 2 by Grandmaster Sethuraman from India. This is the start of my chessable review series, so if you appreciate the content, please give me a like and subscribe so I am aware of your encouragement and will post more videos of this kind in the future. As implied by the name, the course is the continuation of Part 1 of Sethuraman's 1E4 repertoire, while Part 1 covered the 1E4, E5, and all other sidelines, like, for example, the Scandinavian, the Alekhine. Part 2 covers the three main defenses, the Caro-Kann, French, and Sicilian. Sethuraman has published his course this year. As you can see, the course has many words, a lot of words. He also produced a video version, so you might be interested. Also, he seems to be very supportive and he responds to the students' questions. Now I'll talk more deeply about the details of this course. Firstly, let's talk about the lines. In the introduction, Grandmaster Sethuraman, he gave an overview of the lines in the course. Also, he introduced who he is and the point of making this course. It's a very long introduction, and perhaps splitting it into 2 or 3 variations can be more appropriate. Here's the key information. He covers many Sicilians first, sidelines like Nimzowitsch or Kelly, then the Sveshnikov. His recommendation against the Sveshnikov is the line starting with 1E4, C5, then followed by knight B5, D6 here, and knight D5. This line is very trendy, as he mentioned, played against Carlsen by Caruana in the 2018 World Chess Championship match, and I really like the positional, easy to play nature of this line. So a big shout out for Sethuraman for covering this fresh direction. I really like it. The line starting with bishop g5 has been so computerish and non-intuition for me to understand. So I really like that finally there's a course covering knight d5. Against the Kalashnikov, e5, Sethuraman goes for the positional setup with knight b5, d6, and c4. Actually, I didn't like the line so much, as I am mainly an aggressive, sharp player, and Sethuraman advertised his course as a full-blooded one, going for complications whenever possible, and the line looked like too dry for my taste. However, it's the best objectively, and the cons I mentioned is just a matter of taste. So this is a fine recommendation against the Kalash. Next, we move on to the 4-knight Sicilian. Against the 4 knights, which starts after knight c6 and then knight f6. You see, 4 knights has been developed and they call it the 4 knights. And he goes for the main line with knight c6, b takes e5. Here's one characteristic I found in his discourse. The author doesn't shy for going for sharp stuff for the main line that is being debated. He's willing to enter the theoretical discussion if he go into the main line, and he risks being out-prepared by some other authors, but still, he doesn't go for some anti-Sicilians, but the absolute main lines. The point is that after knight d5, we go knight e4, and the position is strategically and tactically very complex. Against the Paulsen, we sometimes call it the Kann, and he goes for bishop d3. And often, c4 and knight c3 is included, reaching the Marok-Zibine. Okay, against the Taimanov and Nadov, the classical Sicilian, he also found many exciting directions, especially the dragon. He introduced the main line with castle queenside, and found some improvement against Giri's analysis deep in the line. The Nadov, okay, bishop g5 entering the topsy-turvy complication is his chief recommendation. I really enjoy the nature of this line, but the only problem is that it's slightly too theoretical heavy. If you print everything that has ever been written on this topical line, I think that would take you a lifetime, or maybe even more. It's so well analyzed that nowadays you cannot find early novelty in this line anymore, unless you are very creative. The Nadov take a large fraction of this book, right? Against the Caro-Kann, he goes for the Tal variation. It's very aggressive and it has been used recently by Caruana in the Grand Swiss to defeat Firouzja in a crucial game. Against the French, he goes for knight c3, which is the principal reaction as you can expect, and he covered the material pretty well in my opinion. Okay, let's come to the pros of this course. I think one of the main advantages of this course is that it's very well structured. Firstly, you have 3 quick starter guides, the Sicilian, Caro-Kann, and French, and you can learn the most important line handpicked by the author, so you can start playing the repertoire in less than an hour probably. And next he covered the sidelines and then move on to the main lines. Each chapter has a very clear name which implies what's there inside. The lines are very fun to play, they are sharp, so they might be vulnerable to future computers, but above all they are very fun to play. Let me show you an example. In the 4-Knight Sicilian, sometimes the concepts are deeply crazy, but I still enjoy playing those crazy lines. I'll show you an example. Okay, here's the main line. You see, so he put a lot of explanation and clickable variations, explaining the move orders and details. He also checked FIDE-master Camille Plista's recommendation and clashed with him at the appropriate point. Let's continue the line. And here, this position is very sharp, but here he has the move Queen A4, a spectacular novelty. And here, after some more engine stuff, which I'm sure it's hard to understand for everyone, we reach very fun position, you see? Very sharp stuff. And it's easy for either side to get lost in the mighty complications. But as you can see, he put a lot of explanations to guide you along the way. So this is a pros of this course. Very sharp and fun lines to employ in practice. The analysis is also pretty good. Not in all chapters, I've just checked few chapters, but I assume that the author has checked his work with the latest engines and come up with many improvements, tons of exciting novelties, so good analysis. The coverage is also very thorough and complete. As you can see on the course homepage, the course contains as much as around, I think, 800. Yeah, 800 trainable variations, and that's not to count the alternative and informational variations. At the end of the course, he also analyze some model games of the recommended lines. I'll show you here. On the bottom, here are the model games. And also, there's an exercise chapter. It's just some random exercise picked from the course, illustrating the different tactical themes and scope for improvement. I would love it if he sorted the exercise into themes. For example, exercise in Nadov, in Polten Sicilian, in Classical, and yeah, sort of that. Let me solve an exercise and see whether I can do it. Oh, no exercise is here for me. Okay, let's get back to the theory section. let's talk about the disadvantage of this course. This course is I've covered mainly the advantage so far, but I see some details that should be mentioned before you buy this course. Sometimes he explained the details too mildly. For example, in some crazy lines of the Nardov, we have a brilliant sacrifice, which I just studied as yesterday. Here it is. After rook h e1, white's position looks very threatening, isn't it? And after bishop e7, the typical Sicilian sacrifice knight f5 comes to life. There's no doubt that black is close to loss here. He's nearly busted. But look at his explanation. Yes, the Assyrian sacrifice comes to light once again. There's no guideline when to sacrifice the knight on d5, when to do so on f5, and why the sacrifice is effective. He should put some sentence describing that we want to open the e file, the d file for our major pieces to clear the d5 square, such as that. But no, he just put a flashy sentence and no explanation. And I would love it if Grandmaster Setu Rahman improve this in the future. Okay, here another example. Here I'd be very tempted to play something flashy that like knight to d5, but instead he go for bishop d5. And this move is strong and Jin approved, there's no doubt, but I don't know when should I play bishop d5 and when should I play knight d5. And here is where the explanation stuff comes in handy. There are several occasions like this in the course where Setu Rahman comes up with a brilliant sacrifice and gives a smile icon and some sentence describing the charm of the sacrifice, and I would love it if he add more explanation about why and how is this sacrifice effective. Okay, I really recommend you to get this course if you are an aggressively oriented player. This course is going to help you a lot. That's the Sicilian lines, and it's very sharp. And I think I've given you a taste of what Setu Rahman's recommendation is like. He's a grandmaster, so his work is for sure it's tested with engines of the highest possible quality. He has covered many topical opening variations, not shying away from a lot of work to find improvement in the main line. He also analyzed the French and Caro-Kann extensively. Let's check an example in the French Winnower main line. Actually, I used to not like the Winnower e5 so much for white, as we usually have to come up with very inhuman moves to stay in the game, but hopefully my opinion will change after studying the French section of this course. e4, e6, d4, d5, knight c3, bishop b4. Here's the main line which Setu Rahman recommends. After queen c7, then bishop d3. Actually, the crazy main line, as analyzed extensively in Giri's French course and many other sources, is queen g7, grabbing the pawn and allowing counterplay in the center. I don't like playing in this fashion as white at all. We grab a bunch of potentially worthless pawn on the king side, and then we need to go back with some inhuman move in the center, then push the edge pawn at some crazy moments. I don't like it at all. But the move bishop d3 is it's fun looking. At least we bring our pieces out and the moves are more natural to remember. So I trust his coverage of the French. Also, it's a lifetime repertoire, so he's forced to go for some main lines, I think. But up in the near future, I am going to publish a Horwitz French, that is B3 French repertoire course soon. I co-author it, and the course is entering its final stages before publishing, so stay tuned. To conclude, this course is the perfect choice for sharp players who want to take their 1e4 repertoire to a high new level. The price is not so expensive. At sale, it's only $24, and Setu Rahman give a lot of explanation. So I think it's a very good deal for your money. I've only bought 5 courses on Chessable so far, and that includes Setu Rahman's lifetime repertoire, and that speaks to itself. I'm very happy that I've bought this repertoire, as I've learned many interesting ideas, analyze them through this course. However, there are some obvious cons, as I've talked before. For example, some lines are too inhuman, and sometimes Setu Rahman, maybe it's so obvious for him, but he didn't explain when to play A, not to play B in a typical position. Next week, I'll come back with a video reviewing another Chessable course, and I'm still thinking which to review. Which course do you want me to talk about and covering its recommendations? Feel free to talk to me about it. Maybe post me a comment about what do you want me to cover. Also, if you give me a like and subscribe, I appreciate it very much, as it helps me out a lot. Thank you and bye bye.